Hi guys, so look at this cool little scratch pad by Arteza. Remember when you used to color the crayons and then put the black over the top and scratch it off? Well, this is kind of the same little effect and without all the work. So yeah, it's a fun little gift. It would be cool for kids or just people that like to doodle. This is a thank you to my patrons, and for all of you who are watching for free on YouTube, all of these beautiful tutorials, people taking the time to not only make the art, share it, upload it, edit the videos, buy all the supplies, and do everything to educate and bring the arts to the average person right in your living room or in your home or wherever you're watching. It is important to thank them, share, support them, and so I highly encourage you to do that. There's a lot of different ways you can. I wanted to show you today, I'm sure you've all seen it already, but Arteza makes pre-mixed pouring paints and you get a lot of different colors. It's a good way to try it out. But they sent me these wood panels, 9x12. Awesome for resin if you want to do something with resin. That's a great tool right there. And then they sent this mica powder kit. So my mind was like, what can I do with all of these products and make something really special? My first thought was mixing the mica powders into some of the pouring paints to give it a little bit more shimmer. There's a ton of cool colors of these mica powders, and when you mix them into paint, this is the one thing I do notice. Occasionally you'll see little flecks here and there. So that's one thing I do notice. The other thing is they kind of disappear into the paint a little bit. So you don't get a really, really strong shimmer, but they are pretty. And there are ways you can use them. If you look at my last video I uploaded of my tree, I use them with a gel medium and they're just totally stunning. But what I did today was these were the colors I used in my pour. And I just basically mixed these appropriate mica powder in with the color. So if I used yellow, I mixed the yellow mica. The carnation pink, I did a pink mica. And the coral mica, and so on. And that is what made my colors today. Look how pretty they are. They come with this little spoon, so you can kind of get them out. It's a really beautiful little set there, very sparkly. So these wood panels from Arteza, these are the 9x12s. I think currently that's what they sell, but I thought, man, I wish I would have had those for some of my resin projects. Now, you guys haven't seen any videos for my resin projects because every time I do a video for resin, for some reason, the video never turns out. I don't know why. But I've done some really pretty resin projects. This one right here is probably one of my all-time favorite paintings, one of my all-time favorite resin projects, and it was my first one, so I'm pretty proud of it. It's called From Clouds to Flowers. If you haven't seen the video, it's like an oldie but a goodie, and a very dear client of mine has this very special piece. So but yeah, if you are someone that likes to do resin, the beautiful part about working on a wood panel is that you don't have to support the canvas, and this is what I learned the hard way. If you don't support the canvas, the resin is heavy and it basically presses down, it weighs down the center of the canvas, and then you get all sorts of troubles. And you get air spots that the resin doesn't stick to, and the edges go bare. And so yeah, this is a good little plan, and they're very inexpensive. So now we're gonna get right to the pour, because this is again one of my little painting journeys. The one thing I will say about the pour paints, the pre-mixed paints, I actually mixed mine this time with a little bit of Floetrol, because the one thing I'm having with the premix paints is not getting very much lacing or anything. But look, it's a brain. It's a brain. I was like, wow, I just made a brain. That's crazy. But anyway, I mixed the pouring paints with a little bit of Floetrol because I thought maybe I could get some cells or some lacing without using silicone, and I didn't. So this is one thing you need to expect when you use the Arteza pouring paints. You're not going to get a ton of cells and lacing directly pouring like a dirty pour or a ring pour or anything like that. Now, if you do a flip cup, I can't speak to that because I've never done it and I have never used silicone. But see what I'm doing right here is I'm just doing a little gentle drag, trying to encourage some lacing to occur. And this is one way, when you see people doing flip and drags, one of the things that makes the lacing is the drag. It's basically like doing a swipe across the paint, and you can see the action of me doing that brought up a little bit of lacing. So it's encouraging. It is possible to do it with that pre-mixed paint. I like to have more control, I think, and I use bigger quantities. So I definitely recommend the paint the pre-mixed paint if you don't have a lot of time to mix paints, or you're not confident about it, or maybe you just want to try out the whole paint pouring thing and see if it's for you and you don't want to buy a bunch of different stuff. So that's one way. Now this painting you got, look you guys, oh, you know what it is? Let me tell you, this is what it is. It's like a sport. And you don't just like jump up and go play a award-winning football game. You have to kind of practice. And I hate this painting right now. It was so gross to me. Look at that. And I haven't been able to practice very much. I used to paint every day, and then it was every other day, and then every 3 or 4 days, and now I'm like painting once a week because I'm having to go back to work, and so I'm just, it's like a muscle that kind of atrophies a little bit, and I think you lose a certain quality of I don't even know, maybe it's a confidence thing, but I just find myself struggling more with my paintings when I don't paint as often. So if you're having that problem, you should try just painting something small every day for a week. And again, like none of my little techniques with this pouring paint is working out, so I'm not getting any of the normal cells. That painting was so gross, and I'm just kind of stumped at this point because I put even like the gold ring around the pour, which usually gives me some pretty cells, and I use the 24 karat Deco Art Gold, which always gives me beautiful cells, and nothing. So at the end of the day, you know what the answer is. If everything fails and you are not happy and you don't want to scrape it off, you can always try a swipe. Now the one thing about swipes, make sure your swipe color is a little thinner than your other colors. If you do that, it's basically going to kind of float over the top of the other colors and then separate. And that's how you get the cells. You don't have to use silicone for a swipe. But you can if you want to, and you'll get some cool effects. If you check out Gail Burston Life in Splatters, she gets some really cool little detailed effects in her swipes with silicone. But you don't have to use it if you don't want to. I don't like cleaning it off of canvases, so I'm just knocking off a little bit of the excess here, and then a damp paper towel, not wet, it's just lightly damp, and then I'm gonna sweep it over the top. It's just light pulling motion over the top of the other bands of color. This is my favorite part. Ooh. I love that. It seems so magical, doesn't it? As all the little bubbles just appear. So you can tilt a swipe. You don't have to keep it perfect. You can shift it. Like in this case, I wanted it to go over the edge just a little bit there. You can distort the cells on the swipe. They don't have to be perfectly round. You know, this is your art. You make it how you want it to look. And don't be afraid to try something. Sometimes you can get the coolest effects. One thing I noticed, this corner is quite bare up there. So I just put a little bit of black, and I'm just gonna use my finger because let's face it, our hands are our best tools. And the cells pop so easily, I knew that I would probably be safe using my finger. So I will say it feels really different to have a wood panel in your hand versus a canvas. It's quite substantial, and it's just a different feeling. Rougher. Definitely, when it dried, I definitely felt a rough texture to it. I am in the process of varnishing it, and I can't move it tonight, but when it's done, I'll show you on another video when it's dried. But here's a little peek of it under the light. It really did turn out pretty after all of that crazy work I did. The swipe ended up being the thing. And the mica powders came through a little bit, but not as much as you would imagine. You know, like I said, I think it's it's cosmetic mica, so you know, if you're into making soaps or cosmetic things, like it may be wonderful. In a clear glossy medium is really where it shines. And like I said in my tree painting that I just did, I just published yesterday, you can really see how beautiful it is. But I like this painting. It's a good little out of my comfort zone color kind of painting. So thanks guys. Thanks for coming today. Watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and visiting my tip jar if you so are inclined, or visiting my Amazon shop, which is now up for 2020. And as always, I can't wait to see you. Till next time. Don't forget to subscribe and hit all notifications so I can make more art videos just for you.